Hi, I'm Ben Schaefer with Bulletproof Automotive, and this is our full dry carbon R35 GTR. So with this car, we didn't build a 1,000+ horsepower GTR, which right now is kind of the trend. We built a super light car, and the reason we built the car super light is we feel that it's a more enjoyable experience in every use versus something that's just good for drag racing or just good for airport runs. The car we have here today is down somewhere between 400 and 500 pounds, and the special thing about that is that it still has full interior, still has air conditioning, stereo. There's really nothing removed as far as the easy stuff. All the hard stuff was done to take a lot of the weight out. So with a project like this, it's never actually finished. There's always more to do, and until this car is floating in the air, there's still more weight to be taken off. This car is an extensively modified car, but one of the things that we did cautiously was we didn't get into the engine internals or into the transmission. And the idea behind that is that we wanted the car to be light and fast, but also to be reliable and to be high response. So the engine bay, what you'll see is a lot of weight reduction, a lot of titanium. This car has a pretty interesting suspension setup. The suspension is made by OVERTAKE, and it uses a Sachs 3-way adjustable damper, which is the same manufacturer actually that is standard on the Nismo Z-Tune and used by Nismo's GT team. So this car has a Sachs coilovers, it has SPL components, all the arms are SPL. Everything's lighter on it, including of course the carbon ceramic brakes by OVERTAKE and the Carbon Revolution wheels. On the Carbon Revolution wheel, we have a Nitto NTO1 tire. The NTO1 is a great upgrade over the factory tire because the factory tire is a run flat, meaning that it's extremely heavy. This is a much lighter tire, and it also has a lot more grip with a much softer compound. The whole interior was kind of inspired by a visit I had to Pagani's factory in Italy. And at Pagani, everything was about the smallest of details. So you'll see on this car, there's so many bolts that are titanium, but that same idea passes on into the interior. Anywhere where there was plastic, essentially, is all now carbon fiber. So we tried to save weight on the exterior. On the interior, the focus was on adding luxury and making the car feel like a proper $1 million supercar. It isn't too often that you see a full carbon bodied car on the road, and when you do, usually it's a Pagani or it's a Koenigsegg or McLaren. Having a full carbon body Nissan, we wanted to have the feeling of a $1 million supercar, even if the car isn't exactly $1 million. Our goals right now, we're still aiming to pull more weight down from the car. We're looking at some new seats that are lighter. We're looking at some additional body work that'll make it lighter still. And whatever else we can do to make the car better at what it does, we're going to keep going until there's nothing left to do. And that day probably will never come.